China cementing its trade ties with a Southeast Asian ally as it deals with a deepening trade war with the US. President Xi Jinping's two-day state visit to Vietnam follows a broader three-nation tour of the region. A 21 cannon salute greeted the Chinese leader at the presidential palace as he walked alongside his Vietnamese counterpart, To Lam. Mr. Xi had said he was looking to draw up what he calls a China-Vietnam community with a shared future. This is President Xi's fourth state visit to the country and first overseas trip this year. The leaders signed agreements on trade and supply chains, including plans to build new railways between the two nations. Mr. Xi is scheduled to visit Malaysia and Cambodia next. And we're now joined by CNA's Olivia Siong, who's live in Hanoi now. Olivia, Mr. Xi has met with Vietnam's top leaders, so what has come out of those discussions so far?
Well, Angie, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but from what we know, I just want to paint a picture of where we are. President Xi's trip in full swing right now. The road here is being blocked as just further down the road, Hanoi's International Convention Center is where President Xi is expected to be hosted to a state banquet in a short while. But earlier today at the presidential palace, we saw President Xi being hosted to a welcome ceremony by the Vietnamese party chief, To Lam, in which he inspected the Guard of Honor and witnessed this 21-gun salute as well. Vietnam really pulling out all the stops. And from recordings that we have heard from media inside the room as the two leaders sat down for talks, we heard President Xi say that amid the current complex international landscape, China and Vietnam have upheld peaceful development and deepened their friendly cooperation, which has brought valuable stability to the world. And that's in line with expectations from the experts that I have been speaking to. They have said that President Xi, on this state visit to three countries in Southeast Asia, is likely to want to present China as a reliable partner compared to the US, which has snapped these sweeping tariffs on its trading partners. In an earlier article, President Xi also saying that there would be no winners in a trade war and that protectionism will lead nowhere, calling on Vietnam and China to safeguard the multilateral trading system as well as to safeguard global supply chains. But it may not be so easy because we also know that Vietnam is negotiating with the US over the 46% duties that have been slapped on its goods. As we do know, Vietnam has been one of the beneficiaries of what many firms have termed its China Plus One strategy, as it's moved part of its supply chain out of China into Vietnam to get around the existing tariffs that had been placed on Chinese goods. But that has inadvertently left it in the crossfire of this trade war amid a 90-day pause that excludes China with these U.S. tariffs. We are also hearing Reuters report that Vietnam is prepared to crack down on Chinese goods being shipped to the U.S. As well as tighten controls on sensitive exports through China in exchange for concessions from the U.S., which could make this meeting a very delicate balance for the Vietnamese leadership.
Now, as part of these meetings, Ollie, several deals have also been signed. Can you tell us more about these deals and what they signal for both sides?
Yes, we are hearing reports right now that there have been a slew of agreements that have been signed by Vietnam and China. We do not know the full details of the deals and how many exactly were signed, but we had earlier heard that the approximate number was about 40 agreements. President Xi talking about enhancing supply chains, and in the article talking about welcoming more quality Vietnamese products into the Chinese market, even as he said that Chinese enterprises should invest more in Vietnam, adding that cooperation should be stepped up also in emerging areas like artificial intelligence as well as in the green economy as well. Another area where we know there have been agreements signed on is rail connectivity. Those projects, particularly three standard standard gauge railways in northern Vietnam, and the smart port project has been talked about by President Xi. We know that Vietnam approved partial funding via Chinese loans for one of those cross-border railway projects, which is set to boost connectivity between China and Vietnam when it comes to transporting people and goods as well. We are waiting to hear about a possible aviation deal between reportedly Vietnam's budget airline Vietjet and Chinese manufacturer Comac as it seeks to find buyers for its homegrown planes. So we'll be awaiting more details on that. But at the same time, we have to remember this delicate balance that Vietnam is trying to tread. Even as it pursues more cooperation, it has also slapped anti-dumping tariffs on galvanized steel from China. Angie.
Ollie, thank you so much for that update. That was CNA's Olivia Siong live from Hanoi.